Okay, y'all. It is 7:32, so it's time to move the meeting to order. I've muted everybody, so if you're going to speak, you will have to unmute yourself now. And with that, I will turn it over to the mayor.
Kurt, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, well, then we'll start that again. Call the regular City Commission meeting of July 14th, 2020 to order. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ta-da. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag.
the United States
States of America and
and
to
to
the republic
for which it
stands one nation
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
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 liberty
liberty and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Oh, that gets so hard. Amy, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Budnick,
Here.
Oh.
Commissioner Perry,
Here,
Commissioner Scott,
Here.
Commissioner Wall,
here.
Mayor Metzger.
Here. Okay. Start the meeting. We will move to public discussion. Anybody with an item that is not on the agenda, please step forward and give us your name and address. Hi, Jim. I think we're waiting for Natalie Campbell.
Natalie, make sure to unmute yourself.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
So I can talk now?
Yeah, you have the whole screen.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for inviting me to speak to you about 5G. 5G means the fifth generation of cellular wireless communication. And I'm not going to explain all the electronics for you, except to say that we have something called millimeter waves. And millimeter waves cannot travel as far as the normal waves, like from a cell tower to your home. So we have to install little cell towers throughout the neighborhoods. These are called small cell antennae. And I brought a picture of some. Is that okay? Can people see that picture, I hope?
Can you lift it a little higher, please?
Just a little higher, maybe a little
Yeah.
further back. There you go.
Okay. So a friend of mine said to me, well, I'm a homeowner and I don't have to have one of these if I don't want it. And I said, well, you may own your home, but you do not own the street light. And they're going to put it on the street light posts. So they need to put these things every 200 to 250 feet throughout the neighborhoods, like little cell towers. Now, some of the downsides of these things, one is aesthetics. They're rather ugly. Another is that property values may go down because home buyers may not like having a little cell tower right in front of their house. Health effects. The industry keeps saying there are none, when actually there's over 14,000 peer-reviewed papers about biological effects of these 4G and 5G, the Wi-Fi and up to 5G millimeter waves. So at the cellular level, on the cell membrane, there's something called the calcium channel. And the Wi-Fi and the 5G will open up the calcium channel and inactivate it so that more calcium will come into the cell. So this is a huge biological effect. This affects humans, animals, plants, fungi, all kinds of things. I could spend all evening telling you all the health problems that could be associated with this, but I don't have time. So along with health effects, 15% of the population are hypersensitive to electromagnetic fields and radiation. And these people will definitely have a health effect. I'm one of them, and that's the reason I'm doing this, because I'm afraid my useful life is going to be over once they do this. Another downside is mitigation expense. I'm about to spend about $5,000 having my bedroom shielded with shielding paint so that I will have at least one room in the house where I can get away from this radiation. There are alternatives to 5G and 4G for that matter. At our house, we have a wired connection to our landline and our television and our computer. We have nothing wireless in the house, no Wi-Fi, and we have perfectly good internet service. Now, there's a profession called building biologists, and these people go out to homes and help the homeowners to mitigate different types of electrical and electronic pollution. And they say often when they're finished with a client, the client will say something like, "Finally, I can sleep for the first time." This is one of the most common reactions to this radiation being put in, is being unable to sleep. Insomnia, depression, anxiety, concentration issues. There's one of their clients, just for an example, said that as soon as they finished mitigating their house, the wife's tinnitus, that is ringing in the ears, instantly stopped. And her father-in-law, who was about to get a pacemaker for his arrhythmia, didn't need to go get the pacemaker. When I look out my door, I live at Norwich and Ridge, I see children playing in the street. Not in the street, in the sidewalk and in the front yards. And I wonder, how much are these children going to be exposed to radiation from these small cell towers that are right on the lampposts? And I think if I were a parent, I would take my radiation frequency meter out there and measure what's coming out of this thing and decide if I could let my child play in front of the house or if he would have to play in the backyard or indoors. Now, I also see walkers. In Pleasant Ridge, everybody walks. It's the national pastime, including myself. And I'm going to take my meter and walk under this thing here and see what radiation is coming out of it. And I may not be walking in Pleasant Ridge anymore after this. I don't know. Time will tell. So I have one depressing quotation for you to finish up with. The mayor gave me 3 minutes. And this quotation is by one of the main scientists who found out these the calcium channel effect. He says, "Putting in tens of millions of 5G antennae without a single biological test of safety has to be about the stupidest idea anyone has had in the history of the world." So that is my depressing quotation to end my talk. This is a book here about how you can help yourself mitigate things. If you can people see it? It's by Mercola, Joseph Mercola. It's called EMF'd. Can people see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's to help improve your own house and make your own house safer. Although it's quite technical, it's not simple.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you. Thank you. Did anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean,
Okay. Jim had a lot of information about whether we have any rights or not. I spoke to Jim this morning.
oh, Jim?
Well, yeah, briefly, you'll recall that last month we adopted a new ordinance dealing with these with the rollout of the new small cell or the distributed cell systems, which facilitate the 5G rollout. And the reason for that is because Michigan is one of the states that's recently passed a state law that pretty much curtails local control over siting and approval of these. There's very little that we can actually choose now in terms of how we re-regulate these. They do have to apply for a permit, but we can basically, once we get the permit, make sure that they meet the electrical code. But other than that, it's very prescribed what we can do locally. So that's all been taken away from us. This fight is at higher levels right now.
Jim, when did that get passed in the state? Do you know by any chance?
I'm not sure when that became law. Greg, do you know?
It was, well, there have been several laws that have preempted the city's ability to regulate, but the most recent one with small cells was 2018.
right. Well, thank you very much, Natalie. I'm sure we will continue to revisit as things move forward. And I know that you will stay on top of it, no doubt.
I have to. Yes, I have to.
Good luck with your bedroom painting. And
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Natalie.
okay, is there anyone else for public discussion?
And with public discussion, if you want to use the raise your hand feature, we can organize if anyone else wants to talk that way. Okay, we have, let's see, Regina, is that Weiss or Weiss?
If you want to say it the really German way, you can say Weiss, but Weiss will suffice. My name is Regina Weiss. I'm on City Council in Oak Park. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to stop in to your meeting to hear what's going on in Pleasant Ridge, and also to let everyone know that I am a candidate for House District 27. Robert Wittenberg, unfortunately, is term limited. He's not running again, so I'm running. I'm one of the many candidates running for his seat. And I just wanted to introduce myself. I don't want to give a whole speech during your council meeting, but I did want to say that if any wants to learn more about my campaign or get in touch, my website is Regina Weiss for State Rep, and my cell phone number is 248-791-2623. I'm also very proud to have the support of Commissioner Amanda Wall and former Commissioner Jason Kursiak as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Regina.
Regina.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good luck, Regina.
Okay, so we have Regina Weiss. Next, we have Kevin Kresch. It sounds like another German name. I'll just go with Neumann tonight. And so go ahead, Kevin, you're up.
All right. Polish, actually.
Papers.
Yes. And you said it correctly, which most people do not get on the first try. So very good. It's also apparently 27th district candidate night tonight. So I am also a candidate for the House district seat. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak. As Regina said, I don't want to take a lot of your time to turn this into a campaign rally. I will say you can learn more about me at www.votecresh.com, which you can see the spelling on your screen. And you can also go to facebook.com/votecresh. I have over a decade's worth of experience of working with Michiganders in this sort of line of work and working with different municipalities. And I hope to bring that experience and my experience up in Lansing back up to Lansing. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've got Matt there too, right?
Yes. Thank you, guys. Again, my name is Matt Stoll, part of 8 individuals running for this seat. But I am a full-time school social worker in Downriver, Detroit. I'm a part-time youth director in Berkeley right now. And again, like everyone else, we're not trying to take time away from this, but you can learn more about our campaign at gowithstoll.com. That's GOWITHSTOEL.com. And you can find our social media, you can find our priorities, and we really would love to hear from you and to chat with you. So please, please, please reach out. You can also give me a call at 248-894-0823, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank
Okay,
you.
that leaves 5 more. So
Did you guys see candidates? Did you see that someone requested you put your website, your email addresses into the chat? Would be appreciated. And your websites, actually. Thanks.
any other?
Hey,
hand-
nobody else has their hand up. So
Okay.
going once, going twice.
That's it. Okay. In that case, we will move on to governmental reports. Should we start out with Chief? How do we want to do this? Chief? Uh-oh, you have to
I had to
unmute.
unmute.
Oh, yep.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is surviving and navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. Challenging times we live in. The only thing, I just have a couple things. Obviously, talking about it at every commission meeting about the garbage cans and tall grass is working because the calls have greatly diminished. So great job to all the residents. Heeding to the ordinances and the rules of your garbage cans and tall grass, less and less complaints, which is always good. The other thing, I see somebody from the fire department, so I'm sure he'll talk about the fire that we just had on Hanover, I think the other day. I see a head nod, so I won't get into that. Yeah, I had some sad news. We had a part-time officer, Officer Dan Simon, who came over to us from Ferndale in January of 19. After retiring from there as a sergeant, he decided the other day to put in his 2-week notice to our department after a long talk with his wife and family due to the current sentiment and environment towards police in today's political environment. So he decided to walk away from here. I just want to know that the police department depended on Officer Dan Simon, greatly for his wisdom, his guidance, his experience, his knowledge. He was somebody that Sergeant Reed and I and the city manager could go to. He was just that kind of guy. He would do anything and everything. He'd do whatever needed to be done. So he will be greatly missed, and I wish him well in his retirement. I think he plans to move up north within the year or whatever with his wife and family. So he'll be greatly missed, and our city and our department will get through it, but we're going to suffer a little bit of a loss here for a bit. So
Now, will you be working to fill that job, that position?
yes, we're currently a couple part-time officers shy, but there are, like I think I mentioned at the last meeting, as every agency in the country, as you can see, there's mass retirement. People in academy classes are, after paying for uniforms and paying for psychologicals and putting their own money down, there's an academy class starting this Friday, Schoolcraft College's class in Livonia. 7 or 8 people in the last 2 weeks had just decided not to go and seek other future employment. We were already having a hard time trying to fill jobs, not just in Pleasant Ridge, but across the nation. It's sad that 1 or 2, or I won't say 1 or 2, a small percentage of police officers have stained and tarnished a profession that many people do selfishly and without fanfare or whatever, just to make it a better environment for everybody else. So it'll be a struggle to fill those. We're actively seeking and searching right now. Whatever we have to do to provide our 24/7 service to the residents and businesses and visitors here, we will do. I assure you of that.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody have questions for the Chief? Okay, thank you. Dennis, would you like to? You're on. Hello. Oh, Dennis, there. There he is.
Good evening, everybody. And for those that don't know me, I'm Dennis Barr. I'm the fire marshal. Chief Bichet is taking a much-needed vacation. He hasn't had any time off this year, so he asked me to step in for him. So, as Chief Nowak mentioned, we had the fire the other morning over on Norwich or Hanover. I'm sorry. So it was a vacant home. Came in 7:30, right at shift change. So had extra guys to fight the fire. They made a pretty good knockdown on it. It appears that it was electrical in nature, and So we had other agencies. We had Hazel Park, Madison Heights was there with us. Nobody was hurt. Sounds like it went pretty well. Chief Pichet did the fire investigation on it. I was out of town at the time. So sounds like it went pretty well with them. There was some significant damage inside, but other than that, just he wanted me to mention to keep wearing the masks, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, and stay safe. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Masks, eh? Any questions? Anybody? Questions, comments? All right. Thanks so much. We will move on then to the consent agenda. We have 5 items on the consent agenda, and I'm going to, rather than go into any details, just ask if I can have a motion to approve.
Mayor?
Yes.
I move the consent agenda be approved.
Is there support?
I second.
Any discussion? All right. Amy, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Perry?
Amy? Oh, Amy?
Yes. Yeah.
Commissioner Wall?
Yes.
Commissioner Budnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Metzger?
Yes. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. We move right into the city manager's report. This is one of those great summer meetings.
Yes, thank you. Don't have much specific. It's a little bit different summer. We're spending our time on different things. I think everyone saw that we had Sylvan shut down at Woodward. The issue there was a MDOT storm sewer that caused a sinkhole to form at the Sylvan-Woodward intersection. So MDOT repaired that. Then they also did some sewer repairs a little further up and downstream. So that's all taken care of now. Fortunately, that didn't impact the city at all. That was all MDOT work. We will be starting somewhat soon. I don't have an exact start date yet, but slated for late July is our miscellaneous concrete project, where we'll have our concrete contractor coming into town. So all of those places where the asphalt patch is across the street, where we had to do water main or water service line repairs for houses, those will all be repaired with concrete for permanent repair coming up soon. And we'll also have a couple other improvements. One of the things that we're going to do is with the changes to the Oakland Park and Woodward intersection, where we put the bump outs, it's always been a little weird because if you're coming from the west to get into City Hall, you had to drive around and then do a turnaround sort of in the intersection a little bit almost. And it's just even more difficult now with the geometry changes. So we're going to be building a direct entrance into City Hall from Oakland Park. So that should ease access into City Hall if you're coming eastbound down Oakland Park. So that'll be a change. Other than that, we're continuing on with the pavilion project at the pool. You can see that developing and coming along nicely. We're also working on finalizing the plans for the pavilion structure that's going to be constructed at Gainsborough Park. That's going to be done this fall, probably after Labor Day. So that's proceeding, and that'll be a nice improvement. And I think that's about it. I don't know if anyone has any questions on anything going on in town. I'd be happy to answer them.
Mayor, just a quick question for Jim. I remember reading in an email, we'll probably be starting the road calming test projects on Woodward Heights as well in the next few weeks.
Yes. So we've been waiting on a couple of pieces of equipment to come in that we had ordered that have been, I think, casualties to the, sort of the pandemic, which we're waiting. We can do it without them. So our plan was to get them in late this week or more likely early mid next week. And so those, as we talked about when we did the traffic calming town hall last year, we'll be trying some pinch points and some other improvements on Woodward Heights to help try and calm traffic down a little bit. we've already collected the data for traffic, speed, and counts before the test. We put our data collection box up. So we have our baseline, and then we'll collect some further data during the test, and then we can also get some qualitative input from the residents on Woodward Heights. Then once that's done, we'll look at making adjustments, making things permanent, going back to the status quo ante. So yeah, we'll look for that to happen in the next couple of weeks. And it's not going to be anything super drastic. Woodward Heights there's not a lot of options because of the number of driveways we have on the street. It's, there's things that you can do to calm traffic, but when you have driveways, people have to get in and out of their houses. So that does limit a little bit what we can do and what we can try. But I'm looking forward to see how this goes and get the input, and then look at maybe making some things permanent.
Great, thanks.
Jim, will that include repainting those white lines down the road?
Well, it doesn't include that yet. That'd be something else that we have to get the striping contractor in to redo, and I'm not sure why those things are wearing so prematurely. So I've had the engineer working with PK to figure out what's going on there and what we do with that. So that won't be part of next week. But
okay,
we're aware and disappointed, but we'll see if we can do it again.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure. Chris has his hand up too, Commissioner Budnick.
Thanks, Jim. One question. I was curious, what is the status of the Devonshire property? I know we touched on it briefly last time, but I was curious to see where we were.
Yes, that one, we have begun the process of filing a motion in circuit court to demolish the house. They had deadlines. We extended the deadlines because of COVID. However, at this point, they've had far more time than we initially had granted them, and the progress has not been sufficient. They haven't done a lot of the things that they needed to do. So for that reason, we're proceeding. We hope that it doesn't come to that, but that is our next step in the process. And it will take a while. Those things don't happen quickly. So to the residents and the residents on Devonshire, we are working on it. It will take a while to get through the process. So,
Jim, can I ask a question? Initially,
Sure.
it was January, right?
No, initially it was, I believe they had up until March. So
March,
their
okay.
deadline was right around the deadline was right around the time that we shut down and we're no longer doing building inspections. So there's about 6
Okay.
weeks where our building department was closed. So we extended that, but we've been back open again for a couple months now, and
Okay,
things aren't moving.
thanks.
Jim,
Thanks, Jim.
Sorry. One other thing that a resident in Elm Park brought up, the crosswalk indicators at Oakland Park and Woodward just seem a little strange.
Yeah, they do.
The way they indicate walk and don't walk don't seem to be right. And I think they're observing the same behavior as the crosswalk at Main and the I-696 interchange. They don't change unless you press the button or something happens, and they just seem to operate strangely. So it might be worth looking into how they work, and maybe we just take a walk around all 4 corners in both directions to see what their behavior actually is.
Well, the behavior is you have to, MDOT has installed beg buttons. So unless you push the button, you won't get a walk signal. So so pedestrians are no longer second-class citizens; they're now fifth-class citizens in MDOT's hierarchy, because it doesn't even change unless you push the big button.
Okay, and it appears it might only change on the side that you pressed, and not on both sides of the road.
Right.
Oh, you have to press it twice. You have to press it on each part.
Right, because MDOT doesn't really think that you should. Okay. The light cycles that they have out there are not long enough for you to make it all the way across. Now, if you're jogging or hustling on a bike, you can make it all the way across in one cycle. But you're right; it only changes for the side of the street where you've pushed the button. So you kind of have to look at the stoplight to see what that's doing, to know if you should keep going or not. It's not great, but that's MDOT's policy.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
My turn. I believe I saw our new street sweeper back behind the
Oh,
shed. Is Tim driving that around now? Did I hear it on the streets?
Well, you heard our contractor who was out doing street sweeping
I
today.
saw.
Okay.
Because Tim still needs to get up to speed on operating the thing before we go careening around cars. And I think the residents will appreciate his training course that he'll be doing before he starts driving it around all the cars that are parked in the street. So yes, we do have it. We are still using our contractor for now until Tim is comfortable to, sort of go out in the wild with it. And then, once that happens, we'll try to make it a more set date so that people can hopefully get their cars off the street so that we can actually get all of the streets, because those things don't turn quickly. So one parked car means, there's a long stretch of street that's not getting swept. That's an issue.
I figured we'd get him out there whenever they're predicting rain, and get him out on the streets.
Right.
Look out.
People are very excited about this purchase, so it'll be good.
Let's all temper expectations for now. Bear with it.
Can you announce when Tim's going to be doing his practice runs? I'd like to be watching from a distance.
I'll be parked in the driveway.
Yeah.
Tim was a Zamboni driver before, right?
Like it's when you're a golfer and you're on the first tee and there's groups behind you, and that's like the worst shot you hit all day because just those eyes are boring into you. So we'll keep it secret for now. Always doing it.
And one other thing, this is more a recreation, I guess, but we're still going ahead with the garage sale on the 8th of August. Is that still the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Shawnee, I saw Shawnee on the meeting. If she wants to chime in.
Yep, we're still good for the 8th. Signs are $25. You can buy them online or buy them at City Hall direct.
Okay. Any other questions for Jim? Okay, then we're going to move on to other business. Anybody got some other business?
Mayor?
Yeah.
Just a quick one. The Historical Commission wanted to let everybody know that we did actually have a meeting this month that was just a workshop, and continue to work through some historical items. We have some 100-year tile recipients. One person moving out of town that will actually be receiving a tile that they wanted to carry as a memento of their time in Pleasant Ridge. So it required us to make a motion and to vote to allow that to happen because it wasn't allowed before. And just asking everyone to have a safe and wonderful summer. If you have a 100-year-old home and it's coming up over the next year, we'll certainly be keeping track of the list and managing the receipt of tiles and things associated with that.
Brett, what about then and now? How's that coming?
It's at the moment it's then, paused, and now. So we're in that pause phase of then and now. A lot of work has been done. We're in the final stages of editing the document, but it does require that a book be published, and all of the resources to publish that book just weren't going to happen over the last 2 or 3 months. So, most of the editing is done. We just now have to move into that book making phase, which hopefully will happen this fall.
Excellent. Okay.
Thanks for asking.
My pleasure. Anybody else?
Did you see there was a question?
Chief, what?
Did you see there was a question about Ferndale schools that came in? Hold on.
What was the question? I saw something flash and then it was
decisions about
That's a good question about fall. To my knowledge, so right now there's still a lot up in the air, and obviously the Ferndale schools are in lockstep with all government agencies and really listening and figuring out how they're going to do it. But at this point, they are planning on having school this fall. But there is still a ton of discussion on that at this point. Plan on going ahead.
Okay. Chief, did you have something? I just see his finger a lot.
I have a couple rec things.
Okay.
Okay. So hold on a second. My screen went away. Okay. So right now we've got free virtual programs for crafts and bingo, July 16th, July 21st, and July 28th. I know that Shawnee and Greg have put a lot of effort into that. Last year, as you know, we did a family camp out behind the rec center. This year, we are encouraging people to camp out in your own backyard August 1st. You can have everything you want. Everything's customized for exactly what you want to eat there. so
I hear one of the campgrounds has a hot tub.
Right. Yeah. You can watch Facebook page for more information as these virtual programs and exciting things unfold. Gainsborough Community Center parks are open. Check the signs and the rules. The community garden is thriving, so that's really cool. Obviously, people have some time on their hands, so they're putting some effort into growing some great vegetables and interesting things over there. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, I had one thing.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Scott's comment about the crosswalk thing reminded me of an event taking place tomorrow and the 16th that I thought I'd advise everybody of. They're going to be changing out the traffic signal controller cabinets tomorrow, starting at 11:30 a.m. at Woodward and northbound 696 eastbound Service Drive. These change-outs could take 2 to 4 hours, so there will be no traffic lights, and we'll be shutting down or directing traffic there. So if you're going out from 11:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon, avoid that area like the plague, please. And secondly, on the 16th, the next day, they're going to be changing out the traffic control box at Woodward and the southbound I-696 Service Drive. So that's starting at 9 a.m. on Thursday. So again, 2 to 4 hours. I would not suggest going that way if you can avoid it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Just a quick census update, just because I got to do that. Pleasant Ridge is now at 89.6% response rate. We continue to be second in the state, not right behind, but behind Huntington Woods, which is 91.9, and just ahead of Beverly Hills. So Oakland County has 3 of the top 5. Lathrop Village is also up in the top 5, as is Burke. I think East Grand Rapids is the only one outside of Oakland County in the top. So it says quite a bit about us. So if anybody hasn't filled out their form, obviously there are still some. It's not all vacancies. There've got to be a few people still hanging on, and you don't want anybody from the Census Bureau to come and knock on your door in the next month or so. Please call the Census Bureau, look for a questionnaire, go online, however, or send me a note. I'll tell you how to do it. We'd love to make sure that everybody gets counted. Is there anything else?
I have something, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Just wanted to give a quick update on the August 4th election. Everybody was sent an absentee ballot application. If you want to take advantage of that, you can still do so. You can apply for it up to the Saturday before. We'll be here in the office that Saturday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. and your ballots issued to you that day. We are going to have an in-person precinct. It'll still be at the community center. There'll be shields. There'll be, people will be wearing gloves. It may take a little while for you to get through the line because the booths need to be disinfected between every voter. So just bear with the election inspectors if you choose to vote in person on election day. So far, 850 ballots have been mailed out. So it's 35% of the voters have taken advantage of the absentee ballot. So that's nice. The close of registration for the election is Monday, July 20th. That's the regular registration closure. You can register all the way up until election day, but they do put a deadline for the first cutoff, and that's July 20th.
Excellent.
Could I ask Amy a quick question?
Yeah.
Mayor?
Yes, you may.
Will you still have the Saturday before? Will you still have the ballots available?
The Saturday before will be open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
And it'll be here at City Hall.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mayor,
Yes.
just a quick comment to everyone. If you've not had an opportunity to see the ballot, it's available on our website. It's not a typical August ballot. There's a lot of stuff on it. So I would highly recommend everyone just take a moment to open it up and check it out, because there is a lot to digest for an August election. And August 4th is creeping up on us pretty fast. So worth taking a look at.
It's a lot of primaries. So
yeah. You bring up a good point. I had a conversation because one of my big issues is voting by mail and making sure that it's easy for people to do, whether they get their envelopes stamped return envelopes, or how do you go about returning ballots and making sure that people are not kept from voting just because they don't have the money for a stamp, or they can't get to a drop-off location and they don't want to go vote in person. I talked to Jocelyn Benson, and she said one of the biggest issues that she feels that it's likely that postage will be paid. They're putting up 500. This is for November, not for the August, but in November they're going to have 500 drop-off boxes across the state. So put in especially in low income communities, to make it much easier for people to vote. She said one of the biggest issues about voting by mail, one thing is that Michigan's law is the vote has to be received by election day. It's not a matter of being postmarked and received a couple days later. If it doesn't get in on election day, right, Amy? If it's not there by election day, it does not count.
Correct. It needs to be returned by 8 p.m. on election day.
Right, 8 p.m. election day. And she said the other issue is, and Brett brings up the fact that this is not a typical primary ballot, is that if you vote in person and you mess up a ballot, you can get another one. If you mess up a ballot and you mail it in, the ballot is discarded. It doesn't count. So you have to be very careful. I mean, so people who are voting by mail, read that ballot carefully. You either vote Democratic or Republican, and then you have the nonpartisan judges as well. But you have to be very careful when you do fill that out, because if you make a mistake, you can void your ballot and not even know about it. So with that, that's my little 2 cents. Anything else? Okay, because I'm going to ask if there's a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Is there support?
Oops, support.
All right. Well, with that, let's. I think everybody supports that, right? You're all unmuted. You're all supporting it. With that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.